She's standing in the middle of a corridor that smells like blood and something older than blood, holding a shotgun she stole off a woman whose head she just blew off. A woman who is already starting to grow it back. And she hasn't even found her sister yet. That's where they will kill you, drops you more or less. Not at the beginning. Not with backstory or setup or anything comfortable. Right into the middle of something that has already gone completely sideways, with a woman named Asia Reeves who came to this building for one reason and is now discovering, one horrifying floor at a time, that the reason she came here is the least dangerous thing about this place. Let me take you back to the beginning. Because the beginning matters. It always does. Two girls in a grocery store. The older one, Asia, is telling the younger one, Maria, that they can't afford candy. They need to save their money. They're going to New York. They're going to make it. Maria steals the candy anyway. I love this detail so much. The film gives it to you in about 30 seconds and never draws attention to it, but it tells you everything about both of them. Asia is the planner, the protector, the one holding the map. Maria is the one slipping something small and sweet into her pocket when her sister's back is turned, because she's a kid and she's scared and she wants something good to happen right now, not in New York. Their father finds them in the store. He's a big man with a convincing voice. Come on out, I promise I'm not mad, we're a family, we gotta stick together. And underneath the words is everything those words are covering. The girls know what they're covering. They run. He catches them outside. Cornered against a car, Maria screaming, the father reaching for her, and Asia pulls out a gun. You'll never touch her again. She shoots him. The police arrive. Asia panics and runs, leaving Maria behind. The father survives. Maria goes back into his custody. Asia gets caught, eventually. Goes to prison. And that's the mistake the rest of the movie is built around. Not the shooting. The running. 10 years later. Asia gets out of prison as something different from what she went in as. 10 years of fighting, because when you're a woman in prison and you fight constantly, you either get broken or you get very, very good, have turned her into someone who can handle herself in ways that will become immediately relevant. She hires a private investigator before her parole hearing is even finished. Doesn't wait. Doesn't settle. She needs to find Maria. The investigator tracks Maria's phone to its last known location. An exclusive co-op building in uptown Manhattan. The Virgil. Built in 1923. The kind of address that has a doorbell and a stone facade and velvet ropes in a neighborhood that used to have criminals and vagrants and people who disappeared in broad daylight. The investigator tells her, the Virgil has a sketchy reputation. Staff they hire go missing. Mostly minorities. Mostly people off the street. Mostly people nobody's going to look too hard for, especially not with the rich involved. A maid named Isabel Davison is about to start working there next month. Asia pays Isabel a visit. Takes her identity. Shows up at the Virgil in a rainstorm, playing the role of someone who isn't there to take apart everyone in the building if that's what it takes to find her sister. She walks through the door. The door has a lot of locks on it. The superintendent, Lily Woodhouse, impeccably dressed, impeccably controlled, calls them mementos from olden times. The neighborhood was different then, she says. People vanished in broad daylight. No one cared. Asia smiles and pretends not to notice that this is both a history lesson and a warning. I want to talk about the Virgil for a moment because the film does something smart with it. It doesn't just use the building as a setting. It uses it as a character, a place with its own logic, its own architecture of secrets, its own way of making you feel like you're being watched through the walls. The first floor is for service staff. The residents live above. The locks on the front door are mementos. The windows are shatterproof. The only way out is a fire escape ladder on the roof accessible through the 9th floor, which is, the film makes clear, the last place you want to be. Asia doesn't know any of this yet. She just knows the building gives her the feeling that something is wrong with it the way a tooth gives you a feeling before it starts to hurt. A wrongness in the structure. In the way Lily smiles. In the way the other maids sit at the dinner table in the basement. Too still, too quiet, like people who have learned not to make noise. There's a boy named Damien who calls her Piggy. There's Lily's husband Ray, who radiates a specific kind of misery, the misery of a man who has been complicit in something for too long and has run out of ways to pretend it's fine. There's Sharon, sleek and polished, who owns an anti-aging cosmetics company called Eternus and gives Asia a jacket and asks about the bruise on her eye with the attentive warmth of a predator who has learned that warmth is the most efficient approach. Asia goes to her room. The mirror fogs up after her shower and a message appears on the glass. They will kill you. It disappears before she can get a good look. She climbs on a chair to check the vents. Something is in there, breathing. The lights in the corridor go out one by one. Someone tries her door in the night. When she falls asleep, Finally, reluctantly because her body forces it, something comes through a hidden passage behind the refrigerator. And then the night gets very, very busy. What follows is a sequence that the film earns by making you feel the architecture of the building before it unleashes the chaos inside it. Asia is not passive. She is never, for a single moment of this film, passive. When the first attacker gets close enough, she fights back with everything she has, and what she has after 10 years in prison is enough. She breaks a neck against a table. She deploys the shard of a mirror. She pulls wires out of a lamp and uses the electrical shock to break free. And then the room fills up with the rest of them. Sharon, Kevin, others, wearing masks, carrying improvised weapons, moving with the casual confidence of people who have done this before and expected it to be easy. It is not easy. There is a sword in Asia's suitcase. She came prepared for a fight, just not for this specific fight, on this specific scale, against people who have a feature she wasn't briefed on. She kills several of them. Definitively, conclusively, in ways that should not be survivable. And then she watches from across the room as they start to get back up. Fucking broad, one of them mutters, reattaching his hand. This is the moment the film shifts from a brutal thriller into something else entirely. Not horror exactly, or not only horror. Something that requires Asia to completely recalibrate her understanding of what she's walked into and what surviving it is going to cost her. Lily stops her in the corridor after the first wave. Slow clap. Composed as ever. Something tells me you weren't entirely honest with me. Well, neither were you. Who the fuck are you? Asia tells her. Asia Reeves. She's here for her sister Maria. She'd like the truth and she'd like Maria, and depending on what Lily says next, she may be in a forgiving mood. Lily says she too has a family to take care of. A rather unusual family with rather unusual needs. Then the people Asia just killed come out of her room and start reattaching themselves. The building is locked down and she should cooperate. Asia says something unrepeatable and runs. The explanation comes from Ray. Ray, Lily's husband, the one with the permanent misery, is the one who wrote the message on the mirror. He finds Asia in a crawlspace and tells her the truth in the quiet, flat voice of someone who has been living with that truth for so long it stopped shocking him years ago. The Virgil is a temple for Satan. Has been for 100 years, though the family's roots go back further. The founders found a way to communicate with the other side, a sacred conduit, and made a deal. Immortality in exchange for human sacrifices. As long as your name is on the list, you cannot die. Not from a bullet. Not from a blade. Not from having your head removed, which Asia has tried. Even a single piece of skin separated from the body will keep living on its own. The members are wealthy. Rich enough to protect the Virgil's secrets, to make sure the police don't look too hard at the people who go missing from the staff. Every once in a while, a chosen few among the hired help are offered a chance to join the family, to have their name put on the list, to become one of them. To finally belong to something. Bust your ass, Ray says, and you might climb up the ladder. Like Lily. Fuck up and your name gets erased. You become mortal again. He helps her because he's done. 100 years of this, or however long it's been for him, and he's finally done. He tells her about the 9th floor. He tells her about the fire escape. He helps her find Maria. Maria. This is the moment the film was building to, and it doesn't go the way you expect. Maria is alive. She's in a room Ray has locked for her protection, and when Asia breaks through and says I came here to save you, butthead, what comes back is not relief or gratitude. What comes back is 10 years of something that has been sitting very still and very cold, waiting. When I was a kid, I needed you. The night you abandoned me, I needed you. While you were in prison and our piece of shit father was beating the crap out of me, I really needed you. But you are too late now. I don't need you. Asia doesn't argue. She doesn't defend herself. She just says, you're coming with me whether you want to or not. I think this is the most honest exchange in the film. Because there's no resolution in it. There's no tearful reconciliation, no explanation that makes the abandonment okay. There's just two women in a locked room in a satanic hotel, one of whom has been carrying a decade of justified anger, and one of whom has been carrying a decade of justified guilt, and neither of them has time to process any of it because people are trying to kill them. The film respects that. It lets the wound be a wound while also letting them move. The building turns against them completely. Lily's announcement goes out over the intercom. Every tenant, every floor, every maid and resident, Asia Reeves is loose in the building. Capture her alive. Feel free to make her suffer. What follows is the film's longest and most relentless section. Floor by floor, corridor by corridor, Asia and Maria moving through a building designed to keep them in, fighting people who cannot die, running toward a roof they might never reach. Ray holds the cultists back while the sisters escape into the elevator shaft. He gives himself up for this. He does it quietly, the way people do things when they've already decided and there's nothing left to decide. Lily asks him one last time why. Back in the day when this neighborhood was a shithole, I convinced myself we were making things better. Taking the scum off the streets. But now our victims are good people. The world is not fair, Ray. I did not make it so. This isn't a home, Lily. It's a fucking prison. She kills him. Because she's told to. Because she's been told to do everything for 100 years and she has never once said no to the thing that owns her, whatever it takes. And the grief on her face as she does it, the film gives her that. 1 second. One crack in the composure. Then it closes. She walks away. The roof. The shrine. A pig's head on a stick, surrounded by candles. This is the head, the conduit, the presence, the entity on the other side of the deal. It snorts and growls and speaks, and when it does, the air in the room changes in a way the film earns by making you wait for it. Lily presents Asia as the new offering. She presents Ray and Maria as traitors. And then the film does the thing you've been dreading, quietly, since Maria said you're too late. Because Maria made a deal. Before Asia arrived. When she was just another person the Virgil had hired, just another person they were going to turn into an offering, Lily offered her a choice. Join the family. 1 death for 1 life. Find a sacrifice. Seal the deal with blood. The woman Maria was supposed to sacrifice was Isabel Davison. The real Isabel. Who Asia replaced. And now Isabel isn't here. And Maria's time is up. The head tells Maria to kill her sister. To write her name. To seal the deal. Maria looks at Asia. I wish we had more time. She writes. She turns. She drives the blade into herself. I've watched a lot of films about siblings. About the weight of sisterhood, the specific gravity of the bond between people who shared a childhood and then survived different versions of it. And I want to say carefully, the moment when Maria kills herself so that her name, written on the pig's skin, is Asia's name, so that Asia's name goes on the list, so that Asia becomes immortal and therefore survives what's coming, that moment works. Lands. It doesn't feel earned cheaply or manipulated from the writing room. It feels like the only thing that could have happened, given who these two people are. Maria who stole the candy. Maria who called Asia out in that locked room with 10 years of truth. Maria who made a terrible deal in a terrible situation with no good options and lived with it rather than run from it. Maria does the one thing she has left to do. Asia falls next to her. Says she's sorry. Maria says, defeat the cult. And then Asia gets back up. What comes after is less a fight scene than a reckoning. Asia, now immortal, with a piece of pig skin in her pocket that has her name on it, moves through the shrine like someone who has just been handed permission to do what she came here to do. Kevin gets impaled. Sharon gets decapitated, finally, permanently, in a way that sticks this time. Lily, possessed by the head, comes at her on all fours with the tentacles driving her forward, faster and stronger and more terrible than she was alone. Asia rips the pig's head off Lily's body. Hits her with it. Impales her on the head stick. She faces the head directly. I want my sister back. You know the deal. 1 death for 1 life. I think we can do better than that. She burns it. The names on the skin burn with it, and every cultist in the building, every immortal, everyone whose name was on that list, falls. The Virgil comes apart from the inside. She carries Maria out. Outside, the investigator is waiting. Asia lays Maria's body in the back seat and reaches into her pocket. The piece of pig skin. She swapped names. Maria's name went on the list. Asia's name was written by Maria. The names burned, but not before one of them took effect. Maria gasps awake in the back seat. What happened? What are you two talking about? I told you, Asia says. I'm never going to leave you again. The investigator decides he doesn't want to know. The car pulls away. The shrine on the roof explodes behind them. Somewhere distantly, a bird tattoo pulses, in knowing exactly where she wanted to end up. On the other side of those locks, with her sister going somewhere. She got there. That's the whole movie. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Total
your throne as my toilet seat. I demand a king's ransom for royalty. I deserve a mansion.